Okay, welcome to day 108 of trying to become a SOC analyst. We're working on LetsDefend on an internal port scan. SOC118, internal port scan activity, the medium severity alert. So let's jump into that alert and see what we can figure out. It's already been assigned to me. So we can now expand the alert and take a look at the details. So we've got the internal 172 address from the hostname Katie. The file name's empty.exe. We've been given a file hash. The device action has been blocked. And we've also got a download copy. So get rid of this cam and see what's going on. I always like to start with the hash. So let's go to virus total. Okay, so it's not been flagged as malicious. However, it has been flagged here as Zenmap as the file name. So let's find out what Zenmap is. Zenmap official cross-platform. Oh, okay. So is it a front end for Nmap, the port scanner? Okay. So it's the graphical user interface for Nmap. So it's in the sense of them flagging virus total, flagging it as not malicious. I guess it's not malicious in that sense, but the purpose of port scanning is a malicious activity. So that's interesting. Sorry, the virus totals from another alert. Let's get rid of those so we don't get confused. So let's go back. So now we know empty.exe is the front end for Zenmap, but it's also interesting to point out that empty.exe is being renamed. So is that trying to be obfuscating what it is? So the next thing was we figured out that it's a port scan, which we sort of had already had an idea from the alert title. But if we go to the endpoint, look for Katie, and while that's loading up, we'll go to the log management as well, and we might actually check the logs first. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Sorry about that. I forgot to silence my phone. Where was I? We were looking at the port scan results. So, okay, we've put in the IP. Okay, let's double check our period, February 21. Okay, so the logs are a little bit out of order, but we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different February 6 dates in here. So it looks like it's scanning FTP, HTTPS, SSH, and 445. Okay, let's check another page just because the dates were a little bit funny then. Oh, okay, it looks like it's back correctly now. So it's those couple of ports, it looks like they've been scanned and they're only targeting one IP, which was .45. Okay, so let's go back to the endpoint now and see if we can see the process being, well, jumps out right there, Nmap, and there's empty.exe. So if we can expand that. Let's follow that to virus total as well, just to make sure we were looking at the right hash. Yeah, that's the Zenmap. So we can see it running on the endpoint. So the strange part about this alert so far is device action was blocked. So we can see the process is running on the endpoint. Did it start to see the scan and it got to port 445 and then it blocked it as it picked up what was happening? That might be the case. Browser history is nothing exciting and no command history. So let's start the playbook. I feel like we don't need to grab the download and put it in any run or anything like that because it's fairly clear what it is. So we could nearly tag it as unknown or unexpected internet traffic, but the fact that it's outgoing, I think that more refers to leaving the network, so external. So we're going to have to go with other. So interestingly, it says, was it quarantined or cleaned? And again, this is where it's smidgen confusing because on their alert it said that the device action was blocked, but we can clearly see on the endpoint, if I go back to processes, that it was run. So we don't have a process ID, so I'm not sure if it means it's still running or if this is just a history of ran commands. It's a bit unclear. So based on the alert saying it was blocked, I'm going to say it was quarantined because it was classed as device action blocked. In terms of if it's malicious, the tool itself is not classed as malicious, but its action is malicious. So a port scan, unauthorized port scan would be malicious. Check if someone requested the C2. So in this instance, we didn't have any C2 address discovered because it's a port scanning utility. We saw it scanned an internal IP, but there's no external command and control or anything like that, like malware wise. So we're going to go not accessed. So we need to add our artifacts. So we can pretty much just copy our hash from our lookup. Zenmap named empty.exe. I wonder if we have the option to put a location in. We don't, so I might just put the URL. We'll put the location of the Zenmap exe on the endpoint. And speaking of endpoint, we will put the endpoint IP in as well. Okay, we have no history of the download. There was no HTTP requests to GitHub or wherever they got it from. So I think that's enough. So we'll go next. I'll pause the video while I write my notes. Okay, so I've written up some notes. So I've mapped it to the MITRE attack technique, network service discovery due to the fact that it was a port scan, and masquerading because of the fact that they were renaming zenmap.exe to empty.exe to try and obfuscate or hide the process. So we've got the logs in the 4W style log. So the alert SOC118 internal port scan activity triggered after execution of empty.exe on host Katie. Analysis of the file hash confirms it's Zenmap, a graphical user interface. For Nmap, the binary was renamed to empty.exe and executed from C drive, program files, Nmap indicating possible obfuscation. Logs show the process initiated a port scan against the internal host 172. We've got the IP there, targeting ports 21, 22, 443, and 445 before being blocked. When we've got the timestamp, where hosts Katie 172 internal IP executed empty.exe and scanned internal hosts 172 and the .45 internal IP. Why the alert was triggered due to detection of internal port scanning activity. Although Zenmap is a legitimate tool, it's renamed execution and used to scan internal infrastructure indicates suspicious behavior consistent with Recon. The scan was blocked by security controls and no further activity was observed. The activity is classified as a true positive Recon attempt with no further containment required. So that's what I've done for the logs. Just in reference to why I'm writing the notes, 172 DOT. I've had some problems in my last alert about having to defang any URLs or host names, and normally when we think of defanging, you'd do like 172 and then bracket dot bracket and then follow on to the next IP 16. But for some reason I couldn't get my notes through yesterday, so I'm really attempting to not use any sort of special characters, include like a bracket or colons or anything like that. So I'm just explaining why that logging is not standard. That's not normally how you defang, but this is just to try and get my notes through the system. So we'll go next and see if it works. So it did go through today. So yeah, interesting. I've seen on Discord people complaining about the same thing. No one seems to know entirely what's causing it. So I guess I just have to keep trying different things. So we'll close the alert. So we did determine it was a true positive. And we'll close the alert. I did make a bit of an assumption or educated guess. I would like to say it's more of an educated guess about the port scan being blocked mid-scan. Because the alert was flagging us that the action was blocked, but we did see that it was running on the endpoint, so I might lose a point there. So let's click continue and see how we go. So we've got our alert here. Okay, so that's fine. Everything was correct. True positive. No one accessed the C2 address. Malware. It was malicious, even though we did get indications from VirusTotal that no, it's not malicious. It's because the actions it was doing was, and the one that I was worried about was the check if it was contained or cleaned, because we saw it on the endpoint running. We thought that, or I thought that it potentially was not blocked, but their alert clearly stated that it was blocked. So I went with what their alert said, and that's paid off. So that's our alert for today. A simple port scanning one. I'll see you on day 107, and let's keep grinding. Thank you.